Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We want to chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, we're celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. You got to look at this one. This is an exciting day because we get the entree and the dessert today. So it's National Chili Dog Day. You get a nice all beef chili. That, you know, and I think, Josh, I think you made that good. Well, is also, I don't see any onions on there. So that looks good. Not an onion guy. Chili, cheese, hot dog. Can't go wrong with that. And you follow it up with a little dessert. Today's National Cheesecake Day. How do you go wrong? Now look at that. Josh even put a sampler on there with the whipped cream. You got to love it. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 and FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing some great pictures here. Entree, National Chili Dog Day. Dessert, National Cheesecake Day. Yeah, and I guess all we can say there. Yahoo! Yahoo! Yeah, we got it made today. That's it's a good day in the neighborhood. Okay, no, don't call me Mr. Rogers. Okay, I get it. Let's see what the markets are doing. Are the market's going to make us feel good as well? Well, let's take a look at that. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 372 points. The NASDAQ is up 612 points. The S&P 500 is up 93 points. Oil's down 21 cents a barrel. Gold up 44.73 an ounce. Holy cow, look at all that good stuff going on in the markets today. And all of that on a day when we've seen all kinds of bombing going on overseas, following up on the 1,100-point loss on the Dow. So why is all this stuff happening like this? What's driving all of this market? Well, yesterday was a fascinating day. If you're if you have no life, you can sit there and now not many people will do this. In fact, very, very few people will do this. But yesterday at 11 o'clock, California time, we got the announcement from the Federal Reserve as to what they were going to do with interest rates. Okay, and that's a simple one, right? I mean, they tell you they're going to do nothing, and they give you the announcement. There's a few services that'll parse it word for word, and that, you know, they call it a day. But the part that gets interesting to people with no life, at 11:30, from basically 11:30 until, about 12:15, 12:30, If you want a cure for insomnia, the Federal Reserve Chairman, Kevin Warsh, had a press conference, and you get to listen to the media with their bias, asking him questions, and him basically not answering. But yesterday when that happened, what we saw was the bond market. We saw the 10-year treasury drop, the yield on that drop. We saw the mortgage-backed securities. That bond went up, which meant rates went down on that one as well. And you listen to that and you go, okay, well, maybe we're going to have some good stuff. And then they finished the press conference, again, about 45 minutes or an hour worth of press conference. And all of a sudden, the stock market started to tank. The bond market retreated. And you wonder, a lot of folks are scratching their head, what's going on? Well, again, if you have no life and you're old like me, you remember the days of Alan Greenspan, the late Alan Greenspan. And he would have these press conferences and he would answer every single question. Now, he didn't have as many press conferences as they do today. And we don't know if they're going to continue having as many as they're doing. But Kevin Warsh said that he's going to continue the rest of the year the way they've been doing it. So no change for the rest of the year. But I digress. Back in the Alan Greenspan days, what would happen is Greenspan would answer these questions and you'd be shaking your head and saying, what the heck did he just say? You know, he'd be talking all this. He'd give like a 3-minute answer to something and you'd have no clue what he said when he finished talking. Well, Kevin Warsh is going back to those days. So he does this 45 minutes or an hour. I don't remember what it was yesterday. He does the press conference and basically said, we don't want the markets to be following what the Fed is doing all the time. The Fed is going to watch the data and act based on the data. Now, what does that mean to the markets? Well, the markets don't like uncertainty. And when they have uncertainty, as you have under this current Fed, well, yeah, basically the markets don't like that because now they don't have anybody telling them in advance, hey, we're going to raise this week or we're not going to raise this week. And ironically enough, the CME, which is the predictor of what the Fed funds rate is going to do, going into the meeting yesterday, or the meeting started Tuesday, but going into looking at results yesterday, there was a 30% chance of a rate hike. Now, what happened? Well, the Fed did not raise at all, but of the 12 voting members, 3 wanted to raise rates, 9 said no. That's 25% said raise. The CME said 30% chance. So that was 25%. Those 3 members did not convince the other ones, and they kept the rates the same. Now, one of the other things that Chair Warsh said was the markets are actually doing the job for the Fed. The Fed doesn't have to raise rates because the markets have done it. And if you've been listening to Ron Siegel Radio, we've been sharing with you that over the last 4, 5, 6 months, the markets have been looking at inflation saying, okay, inflation is increasing. We'll talk about that in the next segment. We need to get inflation down. We're looking at the jobs. They're fairly stable. You know, we look at the market was expecting 200,000 first-time jobless claims. We got 197,000, still a relatively low number. So the Fed's mandate, stable pricing and maximize employment. Well, when you're not getting many people losing their jobs or filing for unemployment benefits, and you've got high inflation or higher than what they want their 2% target to be, the markets are saying, okay, inflation is the arch enemy of bonds, so the bond yields have been going up. Now, we're sitting right between the spread. If you get our weekend update, we've been telling you for a few weeks right now, we're sitting in a range on the 10-year Treasury between 4.2 and 4.8. We're sitting this morning at 4.66, down 2 basis points. So the bond market is doing what the Federal Reserve, in many instances, under Jerome Powell.
Such an idiot.
Yeah, what he was doing, and yes, you know my opinion of Jerome Powell.
But an idiot.
The bond market is basically saying the markets will do what needs to be done. We don't need outside interference. Do you hear that? Some of these socialists that want the government to take over everything. So we're watching the markets. They are acting the way they're supposed to act, and we are getting what's happening in the markets. Rates are up to try and stem off some of this inflation. We'll talk about that more You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, your business is growing, but your money isn't. 10 mid-year fixes that protect profit. The best colleges don't rank themselves. Why do you let them rank you? Buying a home, here's what you should know about home insurance costs. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's...
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by rsrloans.com, rsrloans.com. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They don't tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you put in your mortgage calculator to determine your principal and interest payment. If you don't have a mortgage calculator, rsrlinks.com/calculators. What did rates do yesterday? It was a clean sweep. All of them were up. Conventional 30-year fix, 6.672. Jumbo 30-year fix, 6.693. FHA 30-year fix, 6.418. VA 30-year fix, 6.275. And the USDA 30-year fix, 6.445. Again, clean sweep. All of them were up. What are the markets doing today? The S&P 500 is up 99 points. Most of that is from Microsoft. Big jump in Microsoft today. There's a lot of people that are excited about that. Yahoo! Yeah, if you're a holder of Microsoft, you are excited. We've got oil is down 57 cents a barrel, gold up $49 an ounce. 10-year treasury is now down 2 basis points, 4.66. And the mortgage bond up 16 basis points. Bond up, rates down. It's just the math. What's driving it? Well, it's the Fed's decision and today's key reports on inflation and second quarter GDP. As we started talking about in the last segment, the Fed left Fed funds rate unchanged at 3.5 to 3.75%. At the July meeting, 3 members, Beth Hammack, Lori Logan, and Neil Kashkari, dissented in favor of a 25 basis point hike. The statement was essentially unchanged, noting that economic activity continues to expand at a solid pace despite elevated uncertainty, including risks stemming from the conflict in the Middle East. The Fed also highlighted strong productivity growth and business investment, job gains that continue to keep pace with labor force growth, a little changed unemployment rate, and inflation that remains elevated. At his press conference, Chair Kevin Warsh emphasized that the Fed remains committed to bringing inflation back to its 2% target, while making it clear the Fed won't signal its next move ahead of time. Instead, policymakers will continue to make decisions based on incoming economic data and, where necessary and appropriate, will not hesitate to act, quote unquote. Warsh also pushed back on describing the decision to leave rates unchanged as a pause, calling it a, quote, rigorous review of the economic situation, unquote, and emphasizing that today's decision, yesterday, is the beginning of a story, not the end. He acknowledged that yields have risen since the Fed's last meeting and stressed that the Fed wants financial markets to respond to real economic developments rather than speculation about future Fed policy. As he put it, quote, market participants are learning to play the ball, not the referee, unquote. Adding that the Fed doesn't need to be the center of attention if markets are reacting appropriately to the data. Warsh also confirmed that he would continue holding press conferences after each Fed meeting through the end of the year. And I found it kind of ironic. One of the questioners said, okay, Fed Warsh, you said that you were committed to 2% inflation. Inflation is above 2%. Why aren't you doing anything? And his response was, we've been here all of 8 weeks. Give us a little bit of time. I mean, it's been this way for several years, and they're expecting it to be taken care of in weeks. And I share that because I watch headlines, and it fascinates me how you can have the same exact discussion or the same exact data, and the headlines show it differently. I'm going to get back to that in just a second. The June PCE inflation report showed that headline all-in inflation fell 0.1% during the month and fell from 4.1% to 3.7% year over year. Both figures were in line with estimates. The core reading, which strips out food and energy prices, rose 0.1% last month, slightly below the 0.2% estimate. Year over year core PCE fell from 3.4% to 3.3%. While shelter readings have been overstated in inflation reports compared to more real-time data, June's shelter reading was tamer at 0.22%. If we continue along this trend, this should help us with friendly shelter readings in future reports. The BEA has announced that it will be changing the methodology for several components, starting with their August report that will be released in late September. This includes legal services, computer software and accessories, and most importantly, portfolio management. As we've previously mentioned, portfolio management is not real inflation. When stock prices rise, the fee paid to financial advisors increases due to higher portfolio values, not because their fee percentages have increased. This should not be treated as inflation. Consumers are happy to pay this because their portfolio has risen so much in value. Because portfolio management has inflated previous PCE readings by as much as 0.4%, this change is welcome news. Personal income increased 0.2% in June, while personal spending rose 0.3%, indicating consumers are still spending, likely supported by higher income households as spending continued to outpace income. The personal savings rate declined to 2.7% from 2.8%. Second quarter GDP, the advanced look, first look at Q2 GDP showed that GDP rose at an annual rate of 1.5%. This was weaker than estimates looking for growth around 2% and follows a 2.1% reading in the first quarter. GDP increased due to growth in consumer spending, investment from AI data center buildouts, and exports. However, decreased government spending offset some of this growth, and higher imports also lowered GDP since imports are subtracted from the GDP calculation. And I'm not going to go into the fanciness of the GDP computation, but I'll just tell you it's consumption, investment, government spending, and exports minus imports. Now, the part that I found fascinating was if you go to Market Watch, I think that's CBS, their headline, GDP shows the economy grew 1.5% in the second quarter, but it's even better than it looks. Then you can go over to CNBC, their headline, U.S. economy slowed to 1.5% growth in the rate in the second quarter. Same story, same data, same BEA, different headlines. Initial jobless claims measures individuals filing for unemployment benefits for the very first time rose 9,000 to 197,000. Continuing claims, or those who continue to stay on benefits after their initial claim, fell 7,000 to 1.782 million units. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by rsrloans.com, rsrloans.com. Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com. We are past the halfway point of the year, so here's a question for every business owner listening. Do you know your numbers, or do you just know your revenue? Those are two very different things. I'm Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Today, I'm talking to business owners, and if you don't own a business, stay with me anyway, because a household is the most important small business you'll ever run. Almost everything I'm going to say applies at your kitchen table too. A mid-year report crossed my desk this week that laid out 10 financial realities growing business owners should not ignore. I want to walk through them because July is exactly the right time for this. You still have almost 6 months to fix what is drifting. In December, all you can do is regret it. Reality 1, goals and your business model come first, not revenue, not headcount. A business model is the story of how your company creates value, delivers it, and gets paid for it. If you can't explain that story in 2 minutes, your team can't execute it over the next 12 months. Reality number 2, financial management is critical. 3 documents tell the truth about your business: the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow statement. Picture this: a company doing $2 million in revenue, growing every quarter, and the owner cannot tell you what last quarter's profit was. That business is not being managed. It is being ridden like a wave, and waves end at the beach. So what does this mean for you? It means profit is an opinion until the statements prove it. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. Cash flow is reality. Realities 3, 4, and 5 are about growth, market research, marketing, and customer relationships. Know your market, stay in front of it, and track every customer relationship in a real CRM system. The business that remembers its customers keeps them. The business that guesses loses them to someone with better follow-up. Reality number 6, your people. Employees are the lifeblood of any company. Competitive benefits, retirement plans, and fair compensation are not just expenses. They are a price of keeping talent your competitors would love to hire away. Reality number 7, risk management. This one gets ignored the most. General liability, product liability, professional liability, which you may know as errors and omissions. Commercial property coverage. Every one of those protects something you spent years building. Now, an important disclosure: I do not sell insurance. When my clients need coverage, I refer them to trusted insurance professionals. But as a certified liability advisor, I will absolutely tell you when a gap in coverage puts your balance sheet at risk. Realities 8 and 9. Keep your technology current and stay legally compliant. Boring? Maybe. But lawsuits and outdated systems have ended more businesses than bad products ever did. And reality 10 is the big one: succession planning. What happens to your business if you step away? Retirement, illness, a great offer. It doesn't matter which. Early planning is the difference between a smooth transition and a fire sale. Now, let me connect this to what we talk about every week on this show. Your business finances and your household finances are not two separate worlds. They are one balance sheet with your name on it. I meet business owners with a $655,000 mortgage at home, a line of credit at the office, equipment loans, and credit cards, and nobody's ever looked at all of it together. That is what strategic debt management does. We look at your household blended interest rate, the real cost of every dollar you owe, and we build a plan around safety, liquidity, and return. Because here's the principle that runs through all 10 of these realities: strategy beats rate always. So here's your next step. Reality 10 on that list was succession planning, and is the one most owners keep pushing to next year. Whether it's your business or your household, an outdated or missing estate plan can undo everything you have built the moment life throws you a curveball. Go to rsrlinks.com/estate and connect with one of our trusted estate planning partners to get that piece in place. That's rsrlinks.com/estate. And if you want to talk through your own numbers, business or personal, book a 15-minute Zoom call with me at bookrs15.com. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, buying a home, what you should know about home insurance costs, all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Buying a home? Here's what you should know about home insurance costs. If buying a home is on your radar, you've probably been keeping an eye on mortgage rates and home prices, but don't forget about homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance has always been part of owning a home, but over the past few years, it's become a larger expense for many homeowners, something that's especially frustrating when affordability already feels tight. Yeah, when affordability already feels tight. The good news, while premiums are still rising, the latest data shows those increases are beginning to slow. Here's what buyers should know. You probably heard stories from friends or family about their premiums going up. And that's not really a surprise when you consider data from the Pew Research Center shows 71% of homeowners say their insurance costs have gone up over the past few years. While no one likes rising costs, knowing what to expect can help you plan ahead. Your first insurance payment is typically included in your closing costs, but after that, it'll become part of your monthly housing expenses. Getting an insurance quote early can help you build a more realistic budget and avoid surprises later. Most of the headlines focus on how home insurance is getting more expensive, and that's true, but here's the part that's easy to miss. Insurance premiums are still rising, but they're not rising as fast as they were. According to the latest report from Rate Insurance, 2025 saw the first slowdown in annual premium increases since 2019. If you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 or FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart of homeowners insurance premiums are rising, but not as fast as they were. That doesn't mean premiums are getting cheaper. It simply means the rapid increase of the past several years may finally be starting to ease, a small but welcome step in the right direction. What you'll pay in one part of the country can look very different from when someone pays somewhere else. Insurance costs vary because some parts of the country experience more claims than others. That's why it's important to look at what's happening locally. Your premium will depend on things like where you're buying, the home itself, the coverage you choose. Forbes data can give a rough idea of your state's typical premiums. Check out the map that we've got for you The darker the blue, the higher the costs of tend to be in that state. Gosh, I can't believe that California is not the darkest blue on there. Hard to believe that one. So the ways to lower your costs. While you can't control every cost that comes with buying a home, you can control how prepared you are. If you're crunching the numbers and trying to find ways to save, Insurify and NerdWallet offer these tips that can help you get the best insurance price possible. Shop around, compare quotes from multiple companies. Bundle policies, combine home and auto to see if a bundle price is cheaper. Ask if there are discounts. Don't miss out on savings you may qualify for. Highlight upgrades. Features like a new roof or storm windows can cut costs. Improve your credit. A stronger credit score can mean better premiums depending upon the state. One of the smartest things you can do is get an insurance quote before you make an offer. That way you'll know what your monthly housing costs are likely to be before you commit. An insurance professional can walk you through options and help you find coverage that fits both your needs and your budget. Bottom line, homeowners insurance has become a bigger part of the home buying conversation, but it doesn't have to become a bigger source of stress. The key is knowing what to expect before you buy. Get an insurance quote early, factor it into your budget, and lean on trusted local professionals to help you make the most informed decisions possible. As I've told you before, I am not an insurance agent, but I can introduce you to some really, really good ones anywhere within the sound of my voice. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, the best colleges don't rank themselves. Why do you let them rank you? All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free, rsrlinks.com/debt-free. Every summer, thousands of families obsess over one number, the college ranking. Here's an uncomfortable truth. That number might be the least important piece of information you have. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. I was reading through this week's college planning roundup, and one theme kept showing up. Families are chasing rankings like they're chasing a stock tip. And in the process, they're skipping the one conversation that actually matters, the money conversation. Here's what the research is showing. The fixation with rankings is a major driver of stress and mental health struggles in teenagers. Kids are picking schools based on a number instead of a fit. And parents are picking a financial strategy based on that same flawed logic. Chase the highest number, worry about the cost later. There is a newer trend worth talking about. Some families are choosing to go full pay. That means paying 100% of tuition, no financial aid, no negotiation. For some families, that opens doors. It can mean more choices, more leverage in the admissions process, sometimes even better outcomes. But here's the question nobody asks before writing that check. Where's the money coming from? And what does it cost you in liquidity? Picture a family with a $650,000 mortgage and a healthy amount of equity sitting in that home. Their instinct is to drain savings or pull a lump sum out of that equity and hand it over as a full paid tuition payment. It feels responsible. It feels like they're doing the right by their kid. Here's the problem. The moment that cash is gone, it's gone. No liquidity, no flexibility if a job changes, a health issue comes up, or a second kid needs tuition in 2 years. They solved for the ranking and the sticker price, and they ignored the strategy. This is the same mistake I see with mortgages every week. Families rush to pay down the loan early because it feels good on paper. But paying off debt early does not build wealth. It locks up cash you cannot get back without a lot of paperwork and a lot of time. Strategy beats rate always. I'll say it again. Strategy beats rate always. Full pay for college works the same way. How you pay matters more than the fact that you paid in full. So what does a smarter version look like? Instead of draining $60,000 or $70,000 in one shot, a family can structure tuition payments across the year using cash flow instead of cash reserves. The equity in that $650,000 home stays untouched, ready for the next emergency, the next opportunity, or the next kid's tuition bill. Same total cost, completely different risk. Now, here's a piece of good news buried in this week's research. There is a program called CLEP. It is run by the same organization behind AP exams, and it lets students test out of college coursework for a fraction of the cost of a semester. Most families have never heard of it. A single exam can run under $100 and replace a class that would otherwise cost $1,500 or more at many schools. Stack a handful of those exams together, and a family can shave a full semester, sometimes more, off 4 years of tuition. That is strategy. That is not a ranking, that is math. There is also a shift happening in how schools evaluate students. Admissions offices are moving away from a checklist of activities and towards something harder to fake. Genuine intellectual interest. A student who can talk with real depth about something they care about is standing out more than a student with a longer resume. That is good news for families because it means the years spent chasing prestige for prestige's sake are less valuable than the years spent letting a kid actually explore what interests them. So what does this mean for you? Whether your student is picking a school off a list or you're deciding how to fund 4 years of tuition, stop starting with the number everyone else is staring at. Start with a plan. Know your household cash flow. Know what liquidity you are protecting. Know which dollars can work for you instead of sitting locked in an account or trapped in home equity. That is exactly why we built Key Steps tool to help you. It walks you through budgeting, tracking your assets, and understanding your real cash position. So a decision as big as college does not blow a hole in your family's liquidity. Go to rsrlinks.com/keysteps. That's rsrlinks.com/keysteps and get a clear picture before you write that first tuition check. I am Ron Siegel, your Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Your Credit Matters segment, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free, rsrlinks.com/debt-free. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.